Hey guys, in today's video we're going to go ahead and talk about understanding coterminal angles. So we know that an angle opens, from, this way, right? Opens up this way. Now, a coterminal angle, okay, can go around the circle more than once. And if you notice, this is our 30-degree angle, but if I go all the way around, make a full turn, I end up at the same spot. Well, if I go around all the way once, that means I've gone 360 degrees. If I add those two values, I get 390. So that means that 30 degrees and 390 degrees are coterminal angles because they end up at the same spot, the same location. Same thing would be with radians. So pi over 6 plus 12 pi over 6 equals 13 pi over 6. So that means pi over 6 and 13 pi over 6 are also coterminal. Well, where did I get 12 pi over 6 from? Well, if you think about it, 12 divided by 6 is 2. That's 2 pi. 2 pi is the same thing as 360 degrees. And that's what's happening here. I'm going around one full turn, which is 2 pi radians or 360 degrees. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about it as well with negative angles. If you can see, angles can also be negative, all right? That means that they open clockwise. So if I have this angle opening downward, it's negative 45 degrees. If I keep going, right, I keep going all the way around, I end up at the same spot. Well, I've gone 360 degrees, but I've gone backwards. So then negative 45 minus 360, that's negative 405. So that means negative 45 and negative 405 are also coterminal. Okay, same thing with negative pi over 4. Negative pi over 4 is actually negative 45. And if I keep going, okay, go around, I end up at the same spot. Well, where did I get 8 pi over 4 from? Well, 8 pi over 4, it's 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 pi, that's one turnaround circle. So negative pi, negative 8 pi, that gives me negative 9 pi over 4. So that means these two are coterminal angles. So then the question is, how do we use this to solve problems? Okay, well, there's a couple of things. The first thing is they're going to ask you for the coterminal angle. So all you got to do, if they ask you for a coterminal angle, all you want to do is simply add or subtract the 360 degrees or the 2 pi, whatever they give you. Okay, that's the first thing. If they ask for a trig ratio, what you want to do is you want to bring the angle back within one rotation of the unit circle and then use your hand trig method. And I'll give you an example of how to do that. So I just kind of started some examples here. So 60 degrees, and they tell us, okay, find the coterminal angle. So what I did is you add 360, that gives you 420. That's one coterminal angle. And then what do? You subtract 360. Well, 60 minus 360 is a negative 330. So that's another coterminal angle. And that's it. Same thing with radians. Okay, so 2 pi over 3. Well, if you add 2 pi, okay, well, how did I get 6 pi over 3? Remember, 6 divided by 3 is 2, the 2 pi that we need. A lot of times what I do is I just take the number 2 or 2 pi and I multiply it times this number. So 2 pi times 3 is 6 pi over 3. Because remember, we have to have the same denominator in order to add the fractions. So this gives me 8 pi over 3. Same thing going backwards. I would subtract 6 pi over 3. 2 minus 6 is negative 4 pi over 3. These two, 2 pi over 3, 8 pi over 3, negative 4 pi over 3, all of those are on the same location on the unit circle. That's why they're called coterminal. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would solve some of these, okay? And I try to give you guys as many different examples as possible. So 10 pi over 3, okay? What you're going to do, okay, guys, is you're going to use your hand trig method, but this guy goes around the unit circle more than once. So how many times does 3 go into 10? Well, you're going to say 3 times. Okay. Now, what happens is you're going to go ahead and subtract 2 pi. You're going to subtract 1 time around the unit circle. Okay. Because you don't know where 10 pi over 3 is at. Watch. If I do this, remember your unit circle, and hopefully you guys watch the other video. And pi over 3 is over here. Pi over 3 is over here. Okay. And then 3 take away 1. That means that's 2. 2 pi over 3 is over here. Okay, 3 plus 1 is 4. So 4 pi over 3 is over here. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. So 5 pi over 3 is right there. Well, where is 10 pi over 3? I don't know, right? So that's why you have to bring it back so it could fit within one of these. So 10 pi over 3, what you're going to do is you're going to bring it back one turn backwards. Okay, so what you're going to do is subtract 2 pi. Well, how do you do that? Well, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 pi over 3. 10 pi minus 6 pi is 4 pi over 3. So sine of 10 pi over 3 is the exact same value as sine of 4 pi over 3. Well, how do you do that? What you're going to go ahead and do, guys, you're going to focus on this guy right here. Right there. Well, what's pi over 3? You're going to use your hand. Okay, where's pi over 3? Pi over 3 is 60 degrees right here. Now, what's the sine of that? Well, remember, cosine is the top number, the top finger. Sine is the bottom. How many fingers do I have in the bottom? I have 3, okay? So that means this answer is square root of 3 over 2. Okay, because remember, they always have a 2 on the bottom. Now I just got to figure out where is 4 pi over 3. I know pi over 3 is radical 3 over 2, but where is 4 pi over 3? 4 pi over 3 is in the third quadrant. And remember, all sin ta cos. That means over here, tangent is positive. Wait a minute, that's not tangent. So that means this guy is negative. Okay, so notice how I did that. First, I took the angle, I brought it back, and now it's 4 pi over 3. Now I use pi over 3. Okay, use my hand. Pi over 3 is 60 degrees. I bend that. Sine is the bottom 3. So 1, 2, 3 fingers. Square root of 3 over 2. The only thing is now, is it positive or negative? Well, where is 4 pi over 3 located? Well, 3 plus 1 is 4. It's in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, tangent is positive. And if this makes sense, it's negative, negative. And it makes sense because you go to the left and then you go down, right? And then so you can see sine is negative. And so that's how I get negative root 3 over 2. Let's do another example here. Okay, cosine of negative 23 pi over 4. What happened here? Well, I don't like negative angles and they're very difficult to kind of understand working backwards. So what you want to do is you want to rewrite them into positive. So what I did is I went forward because this is a negative angle. So I move it forward 2 pi units. Well, how do I get 2 pi? 2 times 4 is 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2, right? So then I add this and then what do I get? I get negative 15 pi over 4. Well, you know what? That is still too negative. And I do it again. I add another 8 pi over 4 and I get negative 7 pi over 4. And you know what? That is still too negative. I do it one more time. I get pi over 4. So now I took cosine of negative 23 pi over 4 and I converted it into cosine of pi over 4. These are the exact same values. These are coterminal. So now all I got to do is solve this guy. Well, where's pi over 4? Pi over 4 is the middle. Boom. So where's cosine? The top. So 1, 2. I got 2 fingers on the top. Square root of 2 over 2. And where's pi over 4 located? Well, pi over 4 is located in the first quadrant right here. And that's A. That's all of the trig ratios are positive right there. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and see if we can do some more and practice with these and see if we can get the hang of these. Okay, guys? All right. Tangent of 19 pi over 4. Think about it. How many times does 4 go into 19? You're going to say, well, 4, almost 5. Well, if I do 5, that'll be 4 times 5, and I subtract, I'm going to get 19 minus 20, and that's not going to help me out. So watch what I'm going to do. I know 4 goes into 19 4 times, right? So I'm going to take 19 pi over 4, and I'm going to bring it back 4 times. Okay, cool, nice. So what is 4 times 4? Well, that's 16. Okay, so now we get 19 pi over 4 minus 16 pi over 4. Okay, that's going to give me 3 pi over 4. Cool. So now I got to figure out tangent of 3 pi over 4. What do you do now? Okay, you take pi over 4. Where's pi over 4? Right here. Boom. Okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, what's tangent? Tangent, remember, is sine over cosine. This is your sine, this is your cosine. Square root of 2 divided by square root of 2. Well, square root of 2 divided by square root of 2 is 1. So this guy, okay, remember, tangent of pi over 4, technically it would be square root of 2 over 2 divided by square root of 2 over 2. Well, that's just going to give you 1. But remember, we're not just looking at pi over 4, we're looking at 3 pi over 4. Where is that located? Well, let's do our unit circle. Let's do it here. So pi over 4 is over here. Where is 3 pi over 4? Well, 4 take away 1 is over here. 3 pi over 4 is in the second quadrant. All sin tacos. Okay. Sine is positive over here. Wait a minute. That's not sine. So it's not positive. This guy, the answer is -1. Okay, so notice what I did. How many times does 4 go into 19? 4 times. So bring it back. 4 times 4, 16 pi over 4. 19 minus 16 is 3 pi over 4. Good, now we have this guy. Now I look at the pi over 4, which is my angle that I'm looking for. Pi over 4, fold that. What is tangent? It's sine over cosine, square root of 2 over square root of 2, which is 1. But now, is it positive or negative? Well, where's 3 pi over 4 located? 3 pi over 4 is located, 4 take away 1 is on the second quadrant. All right, all sin tacos. Sine right here is positive. That is not sine. So that means it's going to be negative. Let's do number 6. -7 pi over 3. Okay, how many times is 3 going to 7? You're going to say, well, 2 times. Okay, so let's do it twice. Okay, if I do twice, okay, 2 pi, right? I do it twice. 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. Okay, and we're just learning, so we'll just do it. So that's plus 6 pi over 3. Well, wait a minute. -7 plus 6, that's going to give me negative pi over 3. Well, you know what? I don't really want to deal with negatives, so I'm going to bring it back one more time. Okay, so negative pi over 3. I'm going to add another full circle, which is 2 pi. Okay, well, that's another 6 pi over 3. So let's see. Negative pi over 3 plus 6 pi over 3. And that's going to give me 5 pi over 3. Okay, so sine of -7 pi over 3 is the same as sine of 5 pi over 3. What do I do now? I look at my reference angle, pi over 3. Where's pi over 3? Pi over 3 is 60 degrees right here. I fold that. Okay, what is sine? Sine is the bottom fingers. Cosine is the top. Sine is the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Okay, square root of 3 over 2. So the answer is square root of 3 over 2. But is it positive or is it negative? Where is it located? Okay. Pi over 3 is over here. Where is 5 pi over 3? Well, 3 take away 1 is 2. 2 pi over 3 is over here. 2 plus 3 is over in the across, which is 5 pi over 3. All sin tacos. Over here, cosine is positive, okay? Wait a minute, that's not cosine. So therefore, this guy's going to be negative. All right, let's see if we can do a few more. Get the hang of these. How many times does 6 go into -29? Well, let's see. 4, 5, almost 5 times. Huh? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use actually 5. Because 6 times 5 is 30. And with the -29, that's going to give me a positive. So watch how I do this. I'm going to do -29 pi over 6. It's negative, so I'm going to add. Okay, I want to make it a positive angle. So I'm going to do 5 pi, okay? 5 of these guys. Because 6 goes into 29 almost 5 times. And I want a positive value to come out as well. So 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. So that's going to give me 30 pi over 6. Well, -29 plus 30 is pi. So you see why I used 6? Okay, I'm sorry, why I used 5? Because I actually wanted to get a positive. If I use 4, I would still end up with a negative angle like I did before. like I did over here, you see, and I didn't want that. So I knew that I needed one more. So now we're gonna find cosine of pi over 6. Cool. So how do I do that? Well, take your hand, your trig ratio. Pi over 6 is 30 degrees right here. What is cosine? The top. 1, 2, 3. Cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. Okay. Now, where's cosine of pi over 6? Well, that one's easy. That's in the first quadrant. And that is all of them are positive. So that's positive. All right. Let's do number 8. If you want, you can pause the video, see if you can figure it out. If not, follow along with this. All right. So how many times is 3 going to 4? Once. But that's a negative. So I'm going to do 2. Okay. So I'm going to use 2 instead of just 1. Okay. So negative 4 pi over 3. We're going to go 2 times. So 3 times 2 is 6. So let's do 4 pi over 3 plus 6 pi over 3. Negative 4 plus 6, that is going to give me 2. 2 pi over 3. So now all I have to do is I have to find sine of 2 pi over 3. Cool. What do I do now? Same thing. I'm going to look at my reference angle, pi over 3. Where's pi over 3? 60 degrees, right here. Fold that. Where is sine? Sine is in the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this guy again, and I didn't do this on purpose, but square root of 3 over 2. I guess it keeps coming out the same, huh? And that's okay, but is it positive or negative? Okay. Well, let's figure it out. Let's see here. Where is 2 pi over 3? Well, pi over 3 is over here. Where's 2 pi over 3? 3 take away 1 is 2. 2 pi over 3 is over here. All sin ta cos. The second quadrant here, sine is positive. Is that sine? Yes, it is. So it is positive. Okay. What about tangent? Okay. Tangent of negative 3 pi over 2. Okay, how many times is 2 going to 3? It goes in once, but because it's a negative 3, I'm going to go twice to make it a positive. So we have negative 3 pi over 2 plus, we're going to do 2, okay? So 2 times 2 is 4. So we're going to get negative 3 pi over 2 plus 4 pi over 2. And that's going to give me pi over 2. Good. So now I got rid of that negative radian. So now I have tangent of pi over 2. Awesome. Well, how do I do pi over 2 in my hand? It's not there. Correct. So this is what you're going to do. Where's pi over 2? Pi over 2 is actually over here. 90 degrees, remember? And what's the point right there? Well, that point is 0, 1. Okay, what's the definition of tangent? Sine over cosine, okay? So tangent is sine over the cosine. So what does that mean? That means we're going to get 1 over 0. Now, can we divide by 0? No, you cannot. So this is undefined. Okay, you cannot. All right, you cannot divide by 0. Okay, let's do one more. How many times is 3 going to 14? Well, you're going to say, it goes in, what, 4 times? Okay, 5. Yeah, 5. But if you subtract, 5, then you're going to get minus 15. It's going to be negative. So we're going to subtract 4, okay? So 14 pi over 3, okay? Minus, we're going to do 4 pi. We're not going to do 5 pi. We're going to do 4 pi. So 14 pi over 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Same thing. That's going to give us, whoops, that should have been a minus right there. That's going to give us 2 pi over 3. Okay, so now we have tangent of 2 pi over 3. Cool. So now what do? Same thing. We look at pi over 3. That's our reference angle. Where's pi over 3? Pi over 3 is 60 degrees right here. Boom. The definition of tangent is sine divided by cosine. Sine over the cosine. Okay. What does that mean? That means square root of 3 over square root of 1. Well, that's just going to give me square root of 3. Cool. Now, where is 2 pi over 3? Because we got to figure out, is it positive or negative? Okay, so pi over 3 is over here. 3 take away 1 is 2. 2 pi over 3 is over here. All sin ta cos. Over here, sine is positive. Is that sine? No, it's not. So therefore, it is negative. Well, guys, I hope it kind of made some sense, and it's just going to take us some practice to master it. But hopefully it made sense. I'll make some more videos if you need it. All right, till next time.